Good morning. Happy Monday. Was anybody else up till midnight thinking about the Bronco game and how you expected it to be a blowout? We finally saw some rhythm out of this offense, but they still get a loss. So you're confused on if you should be upset because they lost or be happy because it's kind of like a moral victory. Anybody else or just me?
That was just you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I slept like a baby. It was funny though. Like, first of all, it was Nathaniel Hackett and his "you would have thought they won" press conference. It's a locker room full of people that were jovial. And like throughout Sunday Night Football last night, all the promos, it would be like Kim Christensen popping on and say like, "Hey, the Broncos lost, but it was fun to watch. We'll hear from the players tonight at 10." Like, what is going on here? Like, they lost for the 14th straight time to the Chiefs, and people were happy because it wasn't a bloodbath. It's still a loss, folks.
Yeah, it took two somewhat miracle interceptions with under 3 minutes to go in the first half. I'm rewatching the game today. The Chiefs stopped playing. It was 27-0. Watching the TV broadcast is often illuminating after being there live. Okay, it's a nice supplement for sure. They are laughing. They are smiling. The game was over in their minds. And everything with the Chiefs, now this is a problem they have, everything with the Chiefs got somewhat sloppy. And good for the Broncos because now I know whose fault it was after watching TV. And the person whose fault it was Nathaniel Hackett. And here is why. When you have Dalton Reisner gone, you need to know who your team is. You decided at the end of the day to hire Butch Barry as your offensive line coach, and George Payton is part of this too because you drafted Luke Wattenberg. I have never seen as bad of a game from an offensive lineman as Luke Wattenberg had in the first half. The drive that they scored their first touchdown on when they put great Sun Devil Quinn Bailey back in the game at left guard, and it was fine. All of a sudden, it was okay. But when you are getting destroyed, guys, at left guard, I put that on the coach, talent evaluators. I actually don't even put it on the player. The guy's not a guard. He's supposed to be a center. What are the coaches thinking? And despite this horrible personnel evaluation and placements, they actually made themselves competitive because they finally made a switch. But why did you start like this in the first place? I get it. You got guys that are hurt, but you don't even know who to put in the game. So I feel a little bad for Russell Wilson on that. He had like no shot in the first half. He didn't play all that great, but you got to see how much pressure was on him and what he was having to deal with. It was brutal. Now, should he have thrown an interception on his first pass? Yeah, he literally hit McDuffie in the face mask. I mean, that pass had no chance and had good blocking. It was a windy day, and I don't know who designed that either. Guys, we got a serious coaching issue right now, and we got a concussed quarterback. So that's my takeaways from the first half. And you know what? I'll just say this. I'm glad Jerry Jeudy got pissed off, okay? He needs to play pissed off. And this whole, like, P.J. Locke goes to comfort him, and then Latavius Murray goes to put an arm around him. And you know what? Good for Jerry Jeudy. Telling those guys to pound sand. I'm pissed off. What's wrong with being a little pissed off? We don't need to have huggies and, comfy times all the time. What's wrong with being upset and passionate? So I'm saying good for Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, I'm with you. And look, he'll get fined. I don't know if you've seen the video where
I saw it. He bumped the ref. Yeah, he'll get fined.
He'll get fined. He may not. Wouldn't shock me if he doesn't play this week. Wouldn't shock me if he gets suspended a game for bumping a ref. But that said, I'm with you. Like, somebody on this team.
Somebody cared.
We've talked about it a lot of, like, general manager, nice guy. Head coach, nice guy. Quarterback, nice guy. Star safety, nice guy. Too many nice guys on this team. It was great to see that from Jerry Jeudy. And at the end of the game, I liked that Jonathan Cooper wasn't, hey, let's take selfies and exchange jerseys. He was getting into it with somebody on the Chiefs team until schoolmarm Hackett comes out there. No fighting, no fighting, no fighting. I'm over it. So D-Mac, I'm curious because but my head was about to explode last night reading your Twitter. I thought you wanted Hackett back.
Yeah, well, we're in a tough spot here, okay? The first thing I want is what's not going to happen. the first thing I want is Peyton, Wilson, and Hackett all gone. You guys understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, you should get 2 of them. You should get 2.
No. They all got to go. See, here's the deal. Here's what I realized last night. The 3 of those guys are a package deal for success or failure. I would move on from all 3. That's D-Max, nuclear, number 1 action, okay? They're not going to do it. They're keeping Peyton and they're keeping Wilson. Both mistakes. So you could go one of 2 ways. I did some research and some help from Raj over the weekend. Nobody wants to coach Russ that has coached with him previously. He does not have good relationships. He got rid of Bevel. He got rid of Brian Schottenheimer. Shane Waldron wants nothing to do with him, and you'd have to hire him to be the head coach anyway. And Dan Quinn apparently isn't a big fan of Russell Wilson's either. So all the people with previous experience with Russ, now if that wasn't the case, it would be an easy decision to just get rid of Hackett and bring one of those guys in. But that is the case. Russ doesn't like those guys, and the feeling is mutual from what I understand. Okay, fine. So who exactly is going to make Russ better? And in lieu of somebody who's going to make him better, which is, nobody you can think of, I would, if you have to, just stay with consistency. Because the one guy who's had Russ's back is Nathaniel Hackett. Now, again, my first option is to get rid of all 3. But if you're going to keep 2, you may as well keep 3. And either it really does click like you think it will, James, or it just sinks to the bottom and you can get Caleb Williams. But you probably have a better shot of obtaining Caleb Williams than bringing in another coach to, carve out 6 or 7 wins.
Okay, hang on. First of all, I don't think it's going to click with Nathaniel Hackett. I do think it's going to click with
Okay,
Russell.
then sink to the bottom. That works for me too.
So we're just punting on a year? We're just punting on another year?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, but you don't have to. If you bring in a competent coach, Russell Wilson can play. He can.
See, that's where you and I disagree, James. This is where we have – I think he's done in terms of being a high-quality NFL quarterback. Okay. He's mediocre at best. We can get him to mediocre status.
Okay, well, that's –
But you disagree.
Patently false. But here's the other problem. I have a problem with all these people who just want to bash Russell Wilson off the record. Put your name on it. Shane Waldron or Darrell Bevell. Darrell Bevell got fired because he didn't give the ball to beast mode at the 1-yard line with the Super Bowl on the line. He didn't get fired because of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson also helped him get there and helped him win it the year before. It's just all very convenient for these guys to throw Russell Wilson under the bus and to all of a sudden say this. Like, say it on the record, or I just don't want to hear it. I don't.
Why did Brian Schottenheimer get fired, James?
What's that?
Why did Brian Schottenheimer get fired? Look at Wilson's numbers in 18, 19, and 20. Why did he get fired?
I don't know. But why did –
I do.
Well, how about this? Why did Dan Reeves get fired? John Elway. Why did Shanahan get fired when he was the offensive coordinator? John Elway, because they were drawing up plays behind Dan Reeves' back. Why did Wade Phillips get fired? Why did Jim Faso get fired? John Elway got more coaches fired than Russell Wilson ever has. He was there for a decade, and he had 3 offensive coordinators. That's not – we've seen revolving doors, seen them here. That's not much of a revolving door. Darrell Bevell got fired because he had one of the worst play calls in the history of the league, and Brian Schottenheimer got fired because Schottenheimers get fired. That's what happened.
No, you haven't looked at it, so I'm cheating a little bit because I've looked at it and you haven't. 18, 19, and 20 were some of the best statistical years of Russell Wilson. But in 2020, COVID year, no audience in there, so a little bit easier to play Jamal Murray Bubble Murray. You have a situation where the first 8-9 games were actually great. And then there was a significant dip in the back half of the season. And Russell Wilson had his worst playoff game ever, first round in 2020. And they had to blame somebody. So ultimately, the blame went to Brian Schottenheimer, unfortunately. Because look at Russell Wilson's total offensive production in those 3 years with Brian Schottenheimer. So why did it happen? Well, it happened because you had to put the blame on somebody. And it wasn't going to be Russell Wilson putting the blame on Russell Wilson. Okay. So they got rid of Schottenheimer, and they've replaced him with Shane Waldron. And that's the case right now. And Shane Waldron's not itching to, come here to Denver. And you'd have to make Shane Waldron the head coach too.
Find me the quarterback that Brian Schottenheimer's had any success with.
Russell Wilson. I just did. Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Okay.
James, you're not listening to me. Russell Wilson helped get rid of Brian Schottenheimer. Are you following this? I mean, that happened already.
Because he's not a very good offensive coordinator, and he's proven that in stop after stop after stop after stop.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, listen,
maybe Russ was tired of carrying him.
Hey, James, no problem, because he ain't coming here, and they're not going to bring him here. So you want to just say he sucks. I'm telling you, Russell Wilson was a big factor in getting rid of him. It all equates to a net sum of 0. He's not going to be here. So who else are you getting to work with Russell Wilson? Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Frank Reich? Who's your guy? Dan Quinn? He's already been with Russell Wilson, and Brian Schottenheimer's with him now. You think he's leaving that gig to come here? No, not with Russell Wilson. So just keep Nathaniel Hackett. Why not? Hugs for days, and either you bottom out and it's Caleb Williams, or maybe something magical happens.
Okay, so wait a second. One of the dumbest things we've heard in the last 6 weeks is you can't fire Nathaniel Hackett because it'll scare off coaches, which is ridiculous. But now you're saying that they can't get any better than Nathaniel Hackett, so you might as well stick with him. There's 32 head coach jobs.
Well,
they
again,
have a quarterback.
James, see, this is where you and I differ. Again, I get rid of all 3. I mean, that's
not going to happen. It's not even remotely practical to get rid of Russell Wilson. You're not going to pay him $190 million for this debacle of this season. That's what they'll pay him in cash. The 30 he makes this year and the 160 guaranteed that they still owe him. I don't care how many billions you have. You're not paying $190 million for those 17 games. You're just not. So they're not going to eat the $107 million in cap space. They know they're not going to be able to go out there and get a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. It's a Nathaniel Hackett problem. You started the show saying, I know what the problem is. It's Nathaniel Hackett. And now you want to keep him.
No. What? See, this is, wow. You're doing to me what usually stupid people do. You're not listening. I said, and I'll say it for the 9th time, I would get rid of all 3. In lieu of getting rid of them, because I know they're keeping Peyton and Wilson, I would simply just bring Hackett back. They're in it together. Again, listen to me carefully. I would get rid of all 3.
I got you.
Okay?
I got you. So if you can't get rid of all 3, you just don't get rid of any. That makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, but you don't have an answer. It feels like an uncomfortable moment for you.
Wait a minute.
Because you're the Russell Wilson apologist, but you don't have an answer.
Time out. So the last 3 times they've had a head coaching opening, my choices were Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and Kevin O'Connell. So I'm happy to go 4 for 4 and come up with the other option. Just let's fire the guy first.
Who's your guy?
I'll have to dig into it. I'm not going
to see who they decide to interview. D-Mac, the only reason this doesn't make sense to me is we know what we're going to get if we keep Nathaniel Hackett. You don't know what you're going to get, even if I don't want a first-year head coach, okay? But I'm saying if a first-year head coach is offered this job, they're going to take it. I don't care if you have Russell Wilson. You're still most likely going to take it. But you don't know what you're going to get. We know we're at the bottom right now. So why not give another guy a chance, even if it's a veteran or a first-year head coach?
Yeah, listen, I feel like I'm banging my head off a bizarre brick wall for the past 7 years here. So is it about winning championships or winning 7 games or 8 games in a season? What is it? Because I want to see a team that's going to win some championships. Do you have to have an established head coach? No, actually you don't. You really don't. If you have other things going the right way, like with Brian Daboll and with Kevin O'Donnell, right? O'Donnell? Yeah. O'Connell. Sorry. I knew it was wrong. It's Kevin O'Connell. I mean, it's working for them. I'd make the argument Mike McDaniel is, it wasn't great last night for him, but I'd say it's working in Miami, top to bottom. I'd be pretty happy with Mike McDaniel right there. So it's not like you have to have a first-time guy. You have to have the right first-time guy. But George Payton is just – see, this is a really weird situation for me because I feel like I'm arguing for something I don't even want. You know, I'm trying to just operate in the reality of the situation rather than the DMAC world. I would much prefer to live in the DMAC world. And in the DMAC world, we get rid of everybody. We tank it out 0-17, and we get Caleb Williams, and we're off and running, and we just focus around him. But we're in this weird, like if you think Russell Wilson really played well yesterday, our bar is so low. Did he play better? Was it perhaps his best game? Okay, but he averaged 6.9 yards a throw. 6.9. It was dink and dunk for the most part, and he was greatly aided that Marlon Mack didn't fall down. So it wasn't exactly like the greatest game. And when he did what you have to do, scramble for a first down, he got concussed because he, didn't quite understand when to slide and where the first down was. So he ended up diving head first and getting himself hurt. Brave play, sure. Not a very smart play, a very, very desperate play. So we've got a desperate, limited talent, limited athletic quarterback that you, James Marilat, want to center everything around. And I'm doing the best I can to hang in there. So I put them all 3 together, 3 in or 3 out.
Wait, James, can I real quick? D-Mac, what did you start with the show by saying? What was wrong with what happens in front of Russell Wilson?
It was the worst offensive line. I mean, it was the worst guard play I've ever seen in my life from Luke Wattenberg.
So if you have the worst offensive line or guard play, we could just go there. How do you expect your quarterback to be able to go out there and do absolutely anything?
Oh, I don't. The fact that they got
how
back.
Can you put the blame on Russell Wilson? It's on the surrounding pieces. Like James over here, I've said this a million times, but I'm just.
All right. Listen, if you want to win with Russell Wilson, you're talking about hoping. I mean, hoping he can be like the 17th or 18th best quarterback in the league. You're hoping with a 16th, 17th, 18th offense, you'll still have a top 3 defense. That's how you're hoping on winning. I just think that sucks. I think that's boring, and I think the fans deserve better. But that's.
I don't think that's anywhere where it's going to be. And here's the beauty of it: we're gonna find out because Russell Wilson ain't retiring, right? So if you get your way and he's elsewhere, and he stinks elsewhere, you were right? Or if he goes somewhere else and he's a top 10 quarterback, then we can all just add that on top of all the misery we've already had from this experience. Or if he stays here, which is the most likely thing, even if they tank next year and draft Caleb Williams, they're not eating $80 million in cap space next offseason. They're just not. They're not paying $190. At that point, it'd be $220 million for 2 seasons. It's not going to happen. It's like so impractical and completely implausible. It's not even worth discussing, but it's not a Russell Wilson problem. He has a terrible offensive line. They're a poorly coached football team. He's throwing the ball to Kendall Hinton and Greg Dulcich on 2 out of every 3 plays, a rookie tight end and a guy who should be on a practice squad. Like, it's absurd to me. They're a
James, you're going to get your way here. They're going to blow out Hackett, and they're going to go hire, I don't know. I mean, I'll laugh so hard when they hire Mike Zimmer at your face if that actually happens. But, you're probably going to – I think the Chargers – well, it was good the Chargers won. I'll give you that. You need Staley to keep his job. And who else? Where else does Sean Payton want to go? I don't know. They might blow out Staley anyways. I guess your answer is Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh. Is that your answer? Frank Reich?
Harbaugh would be great. I'm not a Reich guy. I'm not a Jason Garrett guy.
All right. Who's your guy there, James?
Sean Payton is lobbying for the Charger job or the Rams job. Okay, well, the Rams have a head coach. So where's he going to go? If I'm Greg Penner, I'm paying that guy $25 million a year to come be my head coach. That's what I'm doing.
All right, that's cool. And you're giving away a draft pick. What draft pick you giving up? First round?
Whatever you want.
Sure. All right. Well, that's like 6 wins right there. Now what? Year 2 with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. What's good?
Wait, I thought you were saying Sean McVay.
Wait, are you saying Sean McVay or Sean Payton? McVay's not coming. Stop. McVay's going to go right to the freaking broadcast booth if he's not with the Rams. He's not going to keep coaching.
Why?
Because he's a burnout. He's one of these little mighty might burnout dudes.
Okay.
I mean, he's not. You'd have a better chance of him doing the Sean Payton move, retiring basically, just taking a year off, and then into that. Hey, you want to sign me up for something? Let's go. 0-17. Hire Sean McVay and draft Caleb Williams in 2024. I mean, I can get on board with that one for sure. But there's zero. So you're upset with me and what I'm doing, and you want to put out a scenario that is ludicrous. Sean McVay in no world will be a Denver Broncos head coach next year.
Okay. Well, look, do I think it's likely? No. Do I think there's zero chance? There's more than zero chance.
You got to wrap your head around Dan Quinn, Frank Reich, or Mike Zimmer. Wrap your head around it, dude. So one of those 3.
I don't think those are your options at all. I think
they are your total options.
If Michigan wins the national title, Jim Harbaugh has checked the box there, and he wants to come finish what he didn't finish in the NFL.
Harbaugh, your guy?
That'd be a great option.
He's going to make Russell Wilson work out.
What's that?
You know what I like about Jim Harbaugh is they'll draft another quarterback, and Harbaugh will just say, forget it, I'm playing that guy, not Russell Wilson. So I actually would be fine with Harbaugh because here's why I would actually love Harbaugh. He would instantly become George Payton's boss, and he wouldn't play Russell Wilson. So he kind of, hiring Jim Harbaugh kind of like, checks a lot of boxes for me too because he gets rid of all three of them.
Who's he going to play?
Whoever they draft. Somebody tall. I mean, whatever. He'll convince them to draft somebody 4th, 5th, 6th round, and then that person will take over for Russell Wilson.
All right. Well, he fixed Alex Smith, and he went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. I think he'd do just fine with Russell Wilson.
You know what? Cool. I got another option aside from my genius keep Hackett idea. Hire Jim Harbaugh. He's my next favorite because he's the one coach who's not going to kowtow and walk on eggshells. You're right about that. And they will draft another quarterback under the he's better than Brett Rippon again, which you're right about. Rippon sucks. No reason for him to be on the team. Shouldn't be here. They should have already brought in Baker Mayfield. Didn't do that. But they'll draft somebody. They will. They have to draft somebody in this next draft. Fine by me. And I'd say week 4 or 5, Harbaugh makes the switch. Okay. I mean, we'll all be like, you're wasting all this money. And Harbaugh with his khaki pants, real khaki pants, won't care.
Here's my only question. You say bring in the backup of whoever it's going to be, whoever they draft. Don't they have to use the 1st round pick to bring somebody in at O-line? So then don't you have to go out in free agency and get a backup QB because we obviously know it's not Brett Rippon?
Yes, and yes, James.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get somebody as your backup quarterback that gives you a chance when yesterday happens, right? Like, yes, he got them into the end zone when he took over at the 2-yard line, but they got the ball back twice down 6. They ran 6 plays, got 7 yards, punted, and threw an interception. They had no one of them. They got it midfield. I mean, it's just Brett Rippon can't play. I mean, we saw it against the Jets. He'll likely start against the Cardinals, and all the people who want to see Brett Rippon will get their wish. And Brett Rippon with Luke Wattenberg in front of him. By the way, Luke Wattenberg is 50% of what the Broncos got for Von Miller. Great trade by George Payton. With Luke Wattenberg in front of him and throwing to Kendall Hinton. Oh, wait, probably not because Kendall Hinton's now the 12th player to pull a hammy and miss time. But let's not change that either. I'm sure DMAC wants to start a Keep Landau campaign because he's been a smashing success.
Landau's fine with me. That's not an issue. You have a head coach who had a ridiculous training program, maintenance program. It's like Lauren
Who
Landau
actually runs that?
That's silly. If you want to bang Lauren Landau because somebody else has to be blameful, fine. But you want to fire him with no scientific evidence whatsoever, nothing. It's just like a lot of injuries. Lauren Landau's fault. I mean,
12 guys have missed games with hamstring injuries. 12.
Oh, and that's Lauren Landau's fault. You know that scientifically. Dr. Marilat, physician, where'd you get your doctorate from? Where'd you get your MD from, James?
I can count, and then you can go back to Vic Fangio. You want to blame it on Nathaniel Hackett.
James, what coffee shop in Erie did you study organic chemistry? Where did you get your MD from? BSU?
Oh, okay. You're right. So if I haven't made a film, I can't tell you if a movie's good or bad. If I haven't been a chef, I can't tell you if I like a meal or not. I'm not a doctor, so I can't say, 12 pulled hamstrings on one team in a year seems like a lot. Maybe the guy who's charged with training the players and getting them in shape and making sure they're ready to go is at fault. Okay.
All right. Well, fine. I can't wait to hear your laundry list of better trainers than Lauren Landau.
They should bring them all back. They should bring them all back because it's been such a smashing success this year. They should run it all back. Do it again.
I said get rid of all of them. Yeah.
But that's not likely.
You like to ignore the fact that I've said 12 times today, get rid of all of them.
Here's
the rub. That, you got to do the best you can.
And all I'm saying is get rid of all of them except the quarterback. So we're this close to being on the same page.
All right, listen. You want Harbaugh? I'd be fine with Harbaugh because, again, he would be fine benching Russell Wilson. He wouldn't care. And he would take over George Payton's personnel job, which, again, George Payton can do what he does best theoretically. find, guys to bring in and try out on Tuesday. The back end of I don't know. What does he do well? What's the cleat? Back end of the rock. Yeah, I don't know either, actually. But, of course, I said I'd already get rid of him. So, but you bring in Harbaugh. He dictates your quarterback, your high draft picks, and he's in charge of everything. I don't like Jim Harbaugh because I think he's kind of just a quirky dude to be around that doesn't float my boat, but whatever. It's not about me, obviously. And he's the right type of personality to not take any guff from, he's not going to suffer fools. He's not going to have any flexibility either. I mean, you just get Jim Harbaugh. And then if you can draft somewhat of an athletic quarterback in the 4th, 5th round, all right, fine, cool, and that guy can scramble around and he can be the new Russell Wilson to replace Russell Wilson.
D-Mike, I've heard you or had you on this show, and every single time you say if you don't get a quarterback in the 1st round, it doesn't matter. They're never going to be an NFL quarterback. So now how did you just go to the 4th or 5th round that you want to be?
Because, and I'll say it for the 14th time, I would get rid of all of them, go 0-17, and draft Caleb Williams. You guys
then why even
fix things that I didn't break in the first place?
Okay. Well, let's move on because Russell Wilson's
time out, real quick. Time out. How do you guys propose we get Caleb Williams?
I don't even know if I want Caleb Williams.
It's not possible because they've got too much invested in Russell Wilson.
Okay. That's 2023 and 2024. Now gone. Now what?
They have to make it work with Russell Wilson. They have to. At least he's here until at least 2025.
James,
he is.
What don't you see about Russell Wilson? What in the world do you see that I'm not seeing with Russell Wilson? What is it, James?
Well, they're not going to pay him $190 million for this year. And
Did
next
he move the same that he always has moved?
$220 million for 2 seasons. They're not.
James, but all right, I'm not talking about that. Tell me what you see in him in terms of being a good quarterback. What is it?
There were multiple times yesterday they had 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. He was able to convert it, right? So to me, that's a sign of a quarterback who can make plays, right? In the last couple of weeks, he's moved around better. He's been willing to run, right?
He just got concussed. Go ahead.
Because he tried to carry the team on his back, though. I mean, and I know
that was a 3rd down play. He actually threw a pick 6 on a 4th down play. He got concussed on a 3rd down play. They were 6 of 17 on 3rd down, which was way better than previously. Okay, fine. And he was willing to sacrifice his body. He's undersized. He's not growing anytime soon. He's only going to get heavier, not skinnier. The Cannes Film Festival has pastries. He's not turning them down. Who knows what he's going to do with Sierra? Who knows what 30 pounds he's going to pack on with Sierra at whatever beach resort they go to over the summer. So, yeah, go ahead. Keep telling me why he's a really good quarterback.
I just tell you what my eyes see, right? And now we can say he threw a pick 6. Watch the play. What's he supposed to do on that play?
Yeah.
Run.
Just take the
Run
sack.
around the guy.
Take the sack.
He wasn't close. James, he wasn't close to being sacked on that play. The guy was in his face about 7 yards in front of him.
He had to
throw around him, throw from a different arm angle. I don't know. Don't get the ball blocked.
All right.
Do something. It was 4th and 1, James. 4th and 1.
Yeah, and your guy, genius Nathaniel Hackett, decided let's throw to Brandon Johnson in the flat, who wasn't even looking for the ball because Russell Wilson had to throw it early because nobody blocked, but that's on Russell Wilson. I mean, okay.
What difference does it make who he was throwing to? The ball didn't get past the defender. Who cares who he was throwing it to? What difference does that make?
That was the guy that was in his face, plus there was the guy that was about to hit him, but okay. That's on Russ. There's a certain group of folks who Russell Wilson can't do anything right. He just can't. And they're never going to win it. He's never going to win him over. And you're in that camp, and that's fine. I get it. You can live in that camp. I'm in the camp of Nathaniel Hackett is completely in over his head. Had they had Russell Wilson at the time they were hiring a coach, they never would have hired him. They just need to admit their mistake, cut their losses, and see if with a competent coach, because we all agree that they're poorly coached, right?
Would you get rid of Peyton?
I'd get rid of him. And even being poorly coached, they still lost 8 games by 1 score. What's that?
So if you would get rid of Peyton, why do you trust Peyton to make the decision on the next coach?
I don't. I'd get rid of him. I'd bring in Peyton Manning. George Payton's got to go. Nathaniel Hackett's got to go. The only guy that's not going is Russell Wilson. Because it's not practical, A, And B, I believe he can play. I do.
You believe they're getting rid of George Payton?
They're not. No.
Right. So now what do you do?
If you're Greg Penner, you're going to have to let him pick the next coach, because as John Elway told us, they really liked Kevin O'Connell. That's who they really liked. Yeah. But they went with Hackett because they thought it would get Rodgers. So now they won't fall for that, and they're going to get it right this time. That's going to be.
They shut Russell Wilson down for the rest of the year, Rachel. I'm sorry. Now I'm doing my thing. What's that?
That was going to be my next one. That was going to be my next question. Right. Do they shut him down? We talked about it yesterday on post game. He's obviously got that nasty concussion. That just looks horrible. That just looks so bad. I can't even imagine how painful his headache has to be today. So do you shut him down? Do you just say, all right, Brett, it's your time to shine, buddy. You want to be in the NFL? Here you go. James?
Yeah, I don't think there's no reason to play him this week for sure. Yeah. I just don't think there's any reason to trot him out there the rest of the year. I just don't. And the only thing that can make this season worse is if Russell Wilson suffers an injury in the last 4 games that makes it to where he's not ready for minicamp and OTAs and training camp and preseason and the regular season opener. Like, you need Russell Wilson just heading into the offseason healthy, and you can hit the reset button and try again. That would be just an additional disaster. So, yeah, sit him down. There's no reason.
So you say sit him, but do you think they will sit him?
No.
Yeah. Yesterday did matter because that, despite Nathaniel Hackett just getting here and not understanding the value of a Chiefs rivalry game, 13-game losing streaks, the fans, props to the fans, by the way. Yeah, okay, there were Chiefs fans there, but it wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't a home game for the Chiefs like it was a home game for the Bruins against the Avalanche. Not even close. There were only a couple of thousand no-shows, and I believe that number is correct. Looking around the stadium, there were small pockets. Small. Rachel was there, too. I think she could vouch for it. So I think that no-show listing is actually correct, a couple thousand. The fans were into it, and they were entertained because at the end of the day, it was an entertaining game, although the boos rained down when it became 27-0. That being said, there's nothing left to play for. So there's no difference with these last 4 games and preseason games. Nothing. And the same logic, theoretically, that went into not playing the starters in the preseason actually makes way more sense now. You don't want an ACL. Mike Boone, high ankle sprain, could have been a lot worse. What if that's a broken ankle like Garrett Bowles had? I understand you have to put players on the field and you have to play the games, but you also have to do stuff in preseason. I think anybody who has any value whatsoever to next year should stop playing if they're in any kind of risky situation. I don't care about Justin Simmons. He plays safety, and you can throw him out there. That doesn't matter to me. Surtain, all those guys, who cares? But like DJ Jones, Randy Gregory, Russell Wilson, anybody that kind of matters. I would even let's make sure Jerry Jeudy's okay because he's your best offensive player. So, of course, Russell Wilson should not play the rest of the year. We have found and seen enough about Russell Wilson. We don't need anything more. All that he has left is to get himself further damaged for next year. So, again, you got to be careful with Russell Wilson, period. Now, this is going to be tough because you didn't do something smart like go get Baker Mayfield, and you just have Brett Rippon and Nathaniel Hackett and the rest of the coaches will want to win these last 4 games. So somebody's got to be the adult in the room. So I'm looking at you, Greg Penner. Greg Penner. I can't trust George Payton. I seriously can't trust that dude because he doesn't know what's going on. So it's got to come from Greg Penner to shut it down. And hopefully Greg's doing something smart like watching this.
Hopefully. Okay, well, we have some of the best viewers because they always give us good points to talk about. So I do want to just talk about some of them. Josh asked, James, do you think you can win a Super Bowl with Russ?
Yeah, I do. I firmly believe it. I've seen moments this year. I'm like, all right, he's still Russ. And look, he has things he has to do better. I'm not saying he's not at fault because he is. He's just about last on the list of problems. I think you can definitely win a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson.
Okay. D-Mac, we've talked plenty, or you've talked plenty about the height of Russell Wilson and how that's an issue. What in your mind is considered a good height for a quarterback?
6'3".
6'3". What about 6'1"?
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's better than 5'9". 10 or whatever Russell Wilson is. I mean,
So if they're always lying though on the things, doesn't that more likely make somebody who's like 6'1" actually maybe like 6 foot?
Yeah, it's all sorts of crap like that. I mean, I always say I'm 5'8" because when am I not wearing shoes? But
okay, so Caleb Williams is 6'1" on the paperwork. Therefore, he's probably like 6 foot. You say 6'3" is good for a quarterback. So why so high on Caleb Williams if he's not very tall?
Rachel, you can't choose when you suck. And he's clearly going to be the best choice in 2024. The end. Sorry. Is it ideal? No. I mean, it's not absolutely perfect. You want ideal? Look at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is like Josh Allen. These guys, Lamar Jackson, okay? These guys are ideal. They're 6'3" and taller, who can run, who are strong, and can throw, can do everything. These are your ideal type of guys. The Broncos had a shot at Jackson and Allen. No shot at Herbert, unfortunately. But the rest of the Mighty Mice, the Tua Tagovailoas of the world, I mean, good luck. I mean, it's not like it can't work. It's just not ideal. And Caleb Williams isn't even ideal. But at this point, as far as I can tell, he's the best thing you got going. You can't choose when you suck, and that's the wrap. How tall is Patrick Mahomes? He might not be 6'3". He might be like 6'2", something like that. I mean, you'd have to look it up. But, obviously Patrick Mahomes is one of the best ever. He's a generational player for that, 6'2". Yeah, okay, fine. So what ideal is and what's acceptable are kind of two different things. So
why are you willing to tank an entire season with like no possibility? You're just willing to tank it for a guy that's not even the perfect quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely, Rachel, because the Broncos have been so stupid. I don't know how else to put it when it comes to quarterbacks. And the only way you will succeed long-term, the best chance to succeed, is to move up as high as you can and get the best available quarterback that particular year. Sorry if he's not perfect. It's you can't choose when you suck. And don't expect colleges to be, trying to manipulate quarterbacks to train them for the NFL. They're going to try to get the wins. So you take your best shot. One thing that you could look at is the training that he's had. Look at the other quarterbacks that have come from that bloodline, theoretically, from Oklahoma now to USC. I mean, first of all, you have 3 Heisman Trophy winners, which is remarkable, and you probably just give yourself the best shot. None of these guys is ideal, though. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, and even to a lesser degree, Caleb Williams, they're all undersized guys that, have really worked out well. Well, I mean, that's what I would really do is I would go get their coach. But he's got a $100 million deal to just corrupt 18-year-olds. So he ain't going anywhere. Lincoln Riley's who I'm talking about. Listen, we're in some messed up worlds here, guys. I'm sorry. We are paying the price for the absolute stupidity of not retaining Brock Osweiler and drafting Paxton Lynch, then dumbingly drafting Bradley Chubb over Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and then frustratingly passing on Justin Fields or Mac Jones or Patrick Surtain. I don't know what else to tell you. We've had the right idea and been in the right spot several times, and we've screwed it up every single time. So I am trying to do the best with what's in front of me here, guys. I don't know what else to say.
I get it, but look, the last 2 very prominent tanking moments were suck for luck and tank for Tua. How many Super Bowls? How many Super Bowls have those 2 combined for?
They didn't win Super Bowls, but Super Bowl doesn't define success. It defines legacy. Both have been very successful. Both were great draft picks for their franchise. Only 4% of any quarterback drafted in any round have won a Super Bowl. Defining a Super Bowl championship as the barometer of success is a fool's errand. You can define legacy, but what you have to define, who gives you a chance to win and who can get you in the playoffs and give you a chance to win the playoffs.
Well, Patrick Mahomes went 10 overall, right? Josh Allen was the 3rd quarterback pick. And the likely MVP this year is one of your mini-mites, Jalen Hurts. What would he go in the 2nd round? Like this whole notion that it's Justin Herbert. How many playoff games has Justin Herbert played in? Goose egg. None. So it's like, yeah, he looks great out there and he throws some pretty passes. The throw he had yesterday to Keenan Allen was amazing. But like that's not the only recipe for success. So we're just going to
punt. He's thrown for more passing yards in 3 years than any other quarterback in the NFL.
Neat. Great.
Okay. All right.
And they don't win.
So Dan Marino, what a failure.
He went to a Super Bowl. They were in the playoffs every single year. Fine. Super Bowl isn't the fair barometer. Getting to the playoffs isn't for a quarterback?
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. And winning in the playoffs.
Well, he's done neither at this point.
So what are you saying about Justin Herbert?
I'm just saying you're putting him up here as the prototypical, but yet you want to go get a guy that doesn't match. It's just all over the board. I don't understand where we're at here. Like,
is it really? Wow. I'm that confusing to you, James?
I just think you want to punt on an entire season to go, that you have no guarantee that Caleb Williams is going to be a
James, you want Russell's already 34. He'll turn 35 next season. You want a 35 and a 36-year-old, undersized, slightly pudgy, weird quarterback to lead the path to success in the future. That's your guy. You sure?
That's not what I want. It's what they have. It's what they have, right? So he doesn't have to be pudgy. That would be number one on my to-do list for Russell Wilson. Hey, drop 10 to 15 LBs, right? That's something he can control. He's not going to get taller, but he was successful for 10 years at his current height. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks be successful at that height. It's not, 1998 anymore. You don't have to be 6'5". I just think we're all in agreement that the coaching staff is a joke, but yet we want to throw Russell Wilson out because he didn't have success with the coaching staff that's a joke and a roster that George Payton put together that's a joke. Like, that seems like a knee-jerk overreaction to me.
All right. Well, I'm sure they're going to go in your direction more than mine again. And you don't like Hackett and you don't like Payton, but somehow Russell Wilson's a good idea. That seems inconsistent to me, but okay. So, dilly-dilly. Here we go. So now we're going to try to break this broken paradigm. All right, cool. That's why, hey, listen.
Start using the dilly-dilly again, because I feel like it's been a few years, and now all of a sudden I hear it every day from you.
I know. That's probably a bad habit. Listen, I already said what my one idea was: success or failure with the Three Stooges. But I'll go with you with Jim Harbaugh. I will. I'll go with you with Jim Harbaugh. And
would you take Sean McVay?
What's that?
Would you take Sean McVay?
Sean McVay? Sean Payton. Do you mean Sean Payton?
No, I mean Sean McVay.
Sean McVay.
That's such an interesting name.
Sure. I'll take Sean McVay. I'll also take 5 additional inches onto my height so I can dunk. I've never been able to do that either. So I mean, sure. I'll take all that stuff. I'll take $1 million. Hey, $2 million. Give me $1 billion. Why should I go cheap? I'll take all sorts of things that aren't going to happen, Rachel. No problem.
Listen, we're talking about things. You think all 3 of them are going to disappear? You want to keep all 3 of the Three Stooges, like you said? We're all over the place. We're just having fun with our make-believe ideas here, apparently.
Really? What do you guys think is going to happen? Seriously, what do you think is going to happen?
Nathaniel Hackett's going to get fired. Russell Wilson's going to be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. George Payton, I don't trust his coaching, who he's going to bring in, so I'm a little nervous on that front. I think you have to get somebody for the offensive line with the first round. Otherwise, this team will never be successful. And, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's
who's the coach
for success.
D-Mac, I think there's an outside chance you get your number 2 wish. I know your number 1 wish is to get rid of everybody. I'm listening. Your number 2 wish is to keep the Three Stooges. I think you have a pretty good chance that Larry, Curly, and Mo are all back next year. I'm not convinced that Nathaniel Hackett's getting canned. I think they're going to look at it and say, hey, we lost 8 games by 1 score at this point. We had all these injuries. We had a weird schedule early on in the year and had to play in London and on Thursday night and on Monday night. And oh, my God, nobody else has ever had to deal with that. They're going to talk themselves into it.
Guess what? Russell Wilson likes Nathaniel Hackett. Russell Wilson will be pounding the table to keep Hackett because Hackett has been unbelievably loyal to Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson dislikes Hackett, I can't imagine how he possibly could. I mean, Hackett has been unbelievable to Russell Wilson, unbelievable to him. So let's think about it for that perspective. Are you really going to fire the coach that Russell Wilson wants? For who? For somebody he doesn't want?
I think the only reason, there's a ton of reasons to fire him, but I think the number 1 reason that would push them in that direction is just public outrage. Like, really, you're going to run it back with this guy? because they have a very good chance of finishing 3-14. If Brett Rippon plays the rest of the way, I don't know who they're beating.
Why does Greg Penner care about public outrage?
I don't know. I don't know if he does or doesn't.
For the opinion on everything, it seems like.
Had 74,000 people there yesterday. So what does he care?
And they're gonna make that stadium better. Rachel and I got a little birdie, me and Rachel. So we may find out information later this week about how the stadium is going to be better. And frankly, it wasn't what I was expecting, and it's pretty cool. So it very well can make the experience better for everybody. I was surprised by it. And I think we'll hear some more details later this week. I'll wait for them to announce it. I like my birdie. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I think the changes are actually going to be pretty cool. Way cooler than I thought they were going to be. And
all you can hope is they change the bathroom situation for fans because it is brutal down there.
I'll tell you this, though. If they bring all three of them back, they're going to have the bare minimum of primetime games. They're going to be the 2:05 Spiro Didi's Iron Eagle game every single week. And they're going to be so under the radar that going into next season, expectations are going to be basically nil.
Wow, what a great opportunity to throw Mark Schlereth under the bus, and you didn't take it right then and there. But you went with the CBS lineup, so I respect that. Although you're dogging my guy Ian, who I went to college with, James.
Listen, he's got one of the 7 jobs on CBS that we would all kill for. It's not a knock.
And maybe Ian Eagle Jr., his son's doing games now in the NFL, so –
wouldn't we all like to see Jim Nantz and Tony Romo back in town?
Who are those guys?
On that note, we will leave it. I hope you guys all enjoyed hanging out with us. As always, I have a blast with these two. You never know what you're going to get. Our show just takes a wild turn every single time, but we always learn something new or have an interesting take. So thank you, everybody, so much for hanging out with us here on this Monday. Broncos lose to the Chiefs. Not very surprising, but we'll see who ends up playing Sunday. Most likely going to be Brett Rippon, I'm pretty sure. So we will catch everybody tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Oh, and make sure you tune in 3:30 today, Orange and Blue Today with Andrew Masel and Cecil Lamey as they get you up to date on all the latest Denver Broncos news. Bye, everybody.